Hollywood doesn't know what to do with whispers anymore. Everything screams. Every moment begs to be seen. But then there's Keanu Reeves, and suddenly the noise stops. The 61-year-old actor has spent decades mastering the art of existing in plain sight, walking through fame like a ghost passing through walls. But 2025 has become something different for him. Not louder, not more visible, just heavier. Right now, somewhere between the closing weeks of December and the uncertain dawn of a new year, Reeves finds himself at a crossroads he never expected to face. This is the moment when even the strongest must confront the simple, unforgiving truth that bodies break, time passes, and immortality was always just a trick of the light. The trailer was ordinary. Just carpet, walls, and the mundane architecture of a film set. Nothing explosive, nothing designed to test reflexes or push limits. Just a rug. And somehow that rug became the thing that finally brought Keanu Reeves to his knees. During production of Good Fortune, Reeves tripped. The fall itself was unremarkable. People trip every day. But what happened next sent shockwaves through the carefully controlled world of film production. His kneecap fractured, not a minor crack, a vertical split. The kind of injury that sounds worse when you hear how he described it later, snapping like a potato chip. Those words carry a violence that contradicts everything we think we know about this man who has thrown himself through windows, crashed motorcycles, and taken countless beatings for our entertainment. Director Aziz Ansari watched it happen. He saw the blood. He saw the pain flash across Reeves' face, that brief moment when even the most disciplined performer can't hide what's real. And then he heard something that might be the most Keanu thing possible. "I'm shooting." Not a question. Not a negotiation. A statement of fact delivered with the same matter-of-fact tone someone might use to comment on the weather. For 10 weeks, Reeves wore a brace. 10 weeks of hiding pain behind professional composure. 10 weeks of showing up, limping through scenes, dancing when the choreography demanded it, modifying what couldn't be pushed, postponing what couldn't be faked. His colleagues watched with a mixture of admiration and growing concern. There's resilience, and then there's whatever this was. Something darker. Something that felt less like strength and more like refusal. A refusal to acknowledge limits. A refusal to admit that even legends have breaking points. The injury itself tells one story, but the aftermath tells another. Friends have noticed changes. The way he moves now, more carefully. The way he positions himself, protecting that knee without drawing attention to it. The guardedness that creeps into conversations about future projects, especially the physically demanding ones. He's made jokes about it. Dark humor that lands with uncomfortable accuracy. His knees might not survive another John Wick. Laughter follows these comments, but underneath, everyone hears what isn't being said. But even with a fractured kneecap and the weight of recovery pressing down, Reeves kept working. Good Fortune demanded it. The film demanded something from him that decades of action movies never had. Not physical precision, not stunt work, but comedy. Divine comedy, to be exact. In Good Fortune, Reeves plays Gabriel, not the warrior archangel of biblical legend, but a bumbling, overwhelmed guardian angel tasked with an impossible miracle. He's supposed to fix the lives of two men by switching them. One, a struggling warehouse worker played by Aziz Ansari. The other, an egotistical tech billionaire brought to life by Seth Rogen. When they wake up in each other's lives, Gabriel realizes he's created chaos instead of clarity. Heaven's bureaucracy wasn't built for modern problems. Angels, it turns out, are just as lost as the rest of us. The role represents a pivot. For decades, Reeves has inhabited characters defined by what they withhold. Neo, John Wick. These are men of few words and devastating action. But Gabriel requires something else entirely. Earnestness, confusion, the kind of deadpan humor that comes from being genuinely overwhelmed by the absurdity of existence. Reeves trades weapons for wings, gun-fu for gentle bewilderment. He floats through the film literally and emotionally, a celestial being drowning in earthly complications. Ansari's directorial debut brings sharp social commentary wrapped in supernatural comedy. The film takes aim at capitalism, wellness culture, the gig economy, and the arbitrary nature of success. It asks uncomfortable questions about privilege, identity, and what fortune actually means when the universe decides to shuffle the deck. Keke Palmer delivers scene-stealing one-liners as a heavenly supervisor who's long past caring about mortal drama. Sandra Oh appears in a role that adds unexpected emotional depth to the chaos. For Reeves, the film offers something rare, a chance to be seen differently, not as the stoic warrior, not as the lone wolf avenging lost love, but as someone capable of lightness, humor, and self-awareness. It's a risk. Comedy requires vulnerability in ways action never does. You can't hide behind choreography or visual effects. The performance lives or dies on timing, tone, and the willingness to look foolish. Reeves commits fully, proving that after all these years, he's still willing to surprise us. New York in December carries a particular kind of cold, the kind that seeps through layers and settles into bones. Reeves was leaving a performance of Waiting for Godot, another unexpected creative choice for an actor better known for explosions than experimental theater. The stage door moment should have been routine. A few autographs, some photos, the brief, pleasant exchange between performer and audience. Instead, it became something else entirely. She emerged from the crowd with the kind of certainty that should have triggered alarms. Not the hesitant approach of a nervous fan, not the excited energy of someone hoping for a moment of connection. This was something darker, something that had crossed invisible lines long before she reached for his car door. She declared herself his divine wife, not metaphorically, not as a joke. She believed it with the kind of conviction that makes reality bend. Security moved fast. They had to. She was already trying to climb inside, hands gripping the door handle, voice rising above the street noise. The video captured everything: her distress, her absolute certainty, her refusal to accept that the person she believed she knew, the person she'd built an entire relationship with inside her own mind, was a stranger. As the car pulled away, she remained in the street, sobbing, unable to reconcile the fantasy with the rejection. For Reeves, who has spent decades maintaining an almost supernatural level of accessibility, the moment represents a heartbreaking contradiction. He's the actor who takes the subway, who stops for every fan, who treats strangers with genuine kindness. His humility isn't performance, it's foundational. But that very accessibility, that refusal to hide behind entourages and security barriers, creates vulnerabilities he can't control. Parasocial relationships have always existed in Hollywood, but social media has amplified them into something more dangerous. Fans no longer just admire from a distance, they feel they know. They build entire narratives around public figures, filling in gaps with imagination, projecting needs and desires onto celebrities who never asked to carry that weight. For someone like Reeves, whose quiet decency has made him an internet icon, the intensity of that projection becomes impossible to navigate. The woman wasn't arrested. She was distressed, not violent. But the incident has changed things. Security protocols have tightened. The spontaneous moments that made Reeves' public presence feel different, feel human, are becoming rarer. Friends say he remains outwardly calm, but the adjustments are happening anyway. Quicker departures, more controlled environments, the slow construction of barriers between the person and the myth. There's a sadness in watching this shift. For years, Reeves seemed to prove that celebrity didn't have to mean isolation, that you could be famous and still walk through the world with openness. But moments like this reveal the fragility of that balance. Even the kindest interactions carry risk. Even the most genuine connections can be misread. The line between admiration and obsession isn't drawn by the celebrity, it's crossed by those who can no longer see the difference between screen and reality. But amid the injury, the incident, and the growing complications of public life, something else has been quietly unfolding. Something that feels like the opposite of chaos. Keanu Reeves and Alexandra Grant have been seen together more frequently, not performing for cameras, not manufacturing moments, just existing side by side, with the kind of ease that suggests they've been doing this for a while. Grant is an artist, not the Hollywood kind seeking fame through proximity. A real artist who creates thoughtful, provocative visual work, exploring language, identity, and human connection. She and Reeves have collaborated for over a decade, publishing books together, building a creative partnership that existed long before the public knew to pay attention. When their romantic relationship finally became public in 2019, it arrived without fanfare. No red carpet debut orchestrated for maximum impact. Just two people who'd been building something real, choosing to stop hiding it. What's remarkable about their recent appearances isn't the fact of them being together. It's the shift in energy. At the Broadway premiere of Waiting for Godot, they walked hand in hand, natural, unhurried. At the Good Fortune premiere, they paused for photographers and shared a kiss, brief, genuine. For most couples, this would be unremarkable. But for Reeves, who has guarded his private life with the same intensity he brings to stunt work, these moments feel significant. He speaks about Grant differently now, not with the careful neutrality he's used in the past, when questions veered too personal, but with warmth, with admiration that doesn't feel strategic or managed. He talks about her intelligence, her creativity, her perspective. These aren't the generic compliments celebrities deploy to deflect. They're specific, they're real. And for someone who's made a career of withholding, that specificity matters. Grant has brought something to Reeves's life that wasn't there before. Or maybe it was there, and now he's allowing it to be seen. Observers note his increased ease, not the performative relaxation of someone trying to appear casual, but the genuine comfort of someone who's found stability. Where once he navigated public spaces alone, eyes down and smile faint, now he walks with someone beside him. That symmetry has shifted something fundamental. Their relationship resists the usual celebrity narratives. No dramatic proposals caught by paparazzi. No exclusive wedding coverage sold to magazines. No carefully staged social media moments designed to feed the algorithm. Instead, they've built something almost impossibly rare in Hollywood. A connection based on intellectual compatibility, creative collaboration, and what appears to be genuine friendship. They seem to actually like each other. In an industry where relationships often feel transactional, that simple fact becomes radical. But recently, something has changed. Whispers have started, the kind that begin on fan pages and gossip sites before slowly migrating towards something more substantial. The question floating through Hollywood isn't whether Reeves and Grant are serious. That's been obvious for years. The question now is whether they're planning to marry. No official announcements have been made. No diamond ring photos have surfaced. No press releases have been issued. But sources close to the couple keep repeating the same information. Wedding plans are quietly in motion. A ceremony, however understated, is likely. When congratulatory messages flooded social media last month following incorrect reports of a secret wedding, Grant calmly corrected the record. Not married, not yet, but the yet hangs in the air like a promise. The timing of their recent appearances has intensified speculation. There's a coordination to them, a willingness to be photographed together that wasn't there before. Industry watchers recognize this pattern. It's what happens when private people prepare for something public. They test the waters. They normalize their presence together. They create a narrative foundation so that when the news finally breaks, it doesn't feel like a shock. If the wedding happens, it will break from Hollywood tradition. No staged proposals. No exclusive magazine deals. Instead, sources suggest a secluded hillside retreat attended only by close friends. Small, meaningful, designed for them, not for us. The ceremony will happen on their terms, private and intentional, resistant to spectacle. For longtime admirers of Reeves, the prospect carries unexpected emotional weight. His life has been marked by profound loss. The death of his daughter, the death of his partner, years of navigating grief while maintaining the kind of public presence that requires constant performance. The idea of him finding something lasting, something that isn't shadowed by tragedy, feels restorative. Not because he needs saving, but because happiness after such loss proves that healing is possible, even when the wounds run deep. Whatever comes next, whether it's a formal ceremony or simply a continuation of what they're already building, one thing is clear: Reeves and Grant are charting a different course. One defined by genuine intimacy rather than manufactured moments. One that resists the pressure to turn private love into public content. If they marry, the world might not know until long after it's happened. And somehow, that feels exactly right. While speculation about his personal life continues, Reeves has been making other choices that suggest a deeper shift. Outcome, an upcoming dark comedy from Jonah Hill, represents another unexpected pivot. The film reunites Reeves with Cameron Diaz nearly 30 years after feeling Minnesota and pairs them with Matt Bomer in a narrative exploring the dark underbelly of Hollywood fame. Reeves plays Reef Hawk, a disgraced actor confronted by blackmail and forced to face the version of himself he spent years trying to outrun. It's not a redemption story. It's something more uncomfortable. A portrait of fame's corrosive effects, the way public visibility can hollow out the private self until nothing recognizable remains. The role demands vulnerability. Not the physical kind Reeves has demonstrated countless times, but the emotional exposure that comes from playing someone whose carefully constructed image is collapsing. Hill's direction reportedly avoids mockery or easy satire. Instead, the film embraces anxiety, dark humor, and emotional claustrophobia. It's a portrait of the entertainment industry told from inside its fractured machinery, examining what happens when the performance can no longer hold. For Reeves, the role represents a different kind of risk. After building a career on characters who maintain control even in chaos, Reef Hawk is someone watching control slip away. Diaz's return after years away from acting adds another layer. Like Reeves, she's an actor who chose to step back from the relentless machinery of fame. Her decision to return for this project suggests it offered something worth the risk. Both actors have spent years at the edges of traditional Hollywood spectacle, building careers that resist easy categorization. Their reunion feels deliberate. Two performers who understand the cost of visibility, choosing to explore it openly. The film has completed production and entered post-production without the usual publicity campaigns. No early trailers, no manufactured buzz. Just quiet industry conversation driven by the sense that serious artists are attempting something genuine. For Reeves, outcome may represent the most personal work he's done. Not because it's autobiographical, but because it examines the machinery he's been part of for decades with unflinching honesty. But perhaps the most unexpected development of 2025 has nothing to do with acting at all. In December, Reeves will return to New York for something he rarely does. He's going to teach. The masterclass, scheduled for December 13th and 14th at the Lucille Lortel Theater, will be limited to 20 advanced students, emerging professionals, and theater fellows. It won't focus on technical mechanics, blocking, projection, or standard voice technique. Instead, Reeves plans to explore what he calls the inner silence required to listen, to carry grief, and to inhabit stillness. For an actor who built a career around restraint, the offering makes perfect sense. The weekend will be part technique, part philosophy. Participants will work through dramatic scenes from Chekhov, Beckett, and contemporary screen material. But the core focus will be what Reeves describes as the invisible hinge, the moment before a line is spoken when everything true is already present. It's the space between words where real communication happens, the silence that carries more weight than sound. Event co-curator Mariah Halpern explains that Reeves agreed to participate only if the focus remained on creative exploration rather than performance. He turned down press attention and refused a speaking fee. His involvement isn't about seeking publicity. He's committed to the work itself, hoping to share something valuable with emerging artists. That insistence on keeping the class small, capped at 20 participants, speaks to his approach. There's no truth in a crowded room, he reportedly told organizers. What makes this moment compelling is its timing. Reeves has spent decades avoiding the guru role. He rarely gives interviews about process. He doesn't appear on panels or teaching circuits. But now, at 61, with recent projects pushing him toward roles that unspool rather than explode, he's choosing to speak, not from a place of authority, but from experience. Not as someone with all the answers, but as someone who's spent years asking the right questions. For an actor whose personal life has been marked by significant loss, the move toward mentorship feels almost inevitable. He's never positioned himself as someone with wisdom to dispense. But perhaps that's what makes this offering so valuable. Someone who has spent a career in near silence is choosing to share what silence has taught him. Meanwhile, a piece of John Wick is preparing to leave the building. The 1969 Ford Mustang Mach-1, famously driven in John Wick Chapter 2, will be auctioned off in the coming weeks through Bonhams. Expected to sell between $85,000 and $140,000, the car represents more than automotive history. It's a relic from a cinematic universe built on grief, precision, and stylized violence. In the John Wick franchise, the Mustang was never just transportation. It was the last living link to Wick's previous life, his wife, his peace, his past. Every scratch on its paint, every dent in its body told a story about what happens when love is lost and vengeance becomes purpose. The car absorbed damage the way Wick absorbed bullets, continuing forward through pure determination. That the car is now being released into the world carries quiet finality, as if the universe of John Wick, so driven by codes, rituals, and symbolic tokens, is letting go of one of its final sacred objects. The auction comes at a time when film memorabilia is being reframed as artifact rather than novelty. The line between entertainment and art continues to blur, and objects left behind carry cultural weight beyond their function. For Reeves, who brought John Wick to life with blistering physicality and heartbreaking restraint, this isn't an official farewell. There's no word on whether the character will return, but the car's departure, quiet and without ceremony, feels emblematic of the world he created. Stylish, stoic, and resolutely unsentimental. Things end, even legendary things, and sometimes letting go is the only way forward. But even as pieces of his cinematic past move on, Reeves continues his pattern of quiet generosity. This week brought news of a $70,000 purchase at a small Los Angeles charity auction. The item, a rare 1964 Gibson ES-335, once owned by a Laurel Canyon session player, worn and played for decades. The guitar had passed through only 2 owners before Reeves acquired it. The sale will fund music programs for kids through the Harmony for Hope Fund, supporting under-resourced young musicians across the United States. But what makes the gesture particularly meaningful is Reeves's single request: the guitar must be used, not displayed behind glass. It's a philosophy that speaks to his broader approach. Value isn't in possession, it's in purpose. Before becoming an action icon, Reeves played bass in the 90s alt-rock band Dogstar. He reunited with them for a tour in 2023, proving that music remains a genuine passion rather than a celebrity hobby. Friends say he treats instruments like memories, not trophies, things meant to be touched, played, and passed forward. Harmony for Hope announced the funds will provide a full year of music education for 120 kids across 6 cities. The Gibson will go to a Chicago youth program where a 14-year-old composer has been writing music on borrowed instruments. The organization hopes the vintage guitar will help him continue developing his voice. Reeves didn't comment publicly. He rarely does after acts of generosity. Those around him say the pattern is consistent: quiet giving, done with purpose, never for applause. He's reportedly supported cancer research anonymously, helped struggling crew members during difficult times, and once gifted motorcycles to an entire stunt team. These gestures don't generate headlines because he doesn't want them to. The value is in the act itself, not the recognition that follows. As 2025 draws to a close, Keanu Reeves exists in a strange space between mythology and reality. The fractured knee serves as a reminder that even the most physically capable performers eventually face limits. The fan incident illustrates how accessibility and safety exist in constant tension. The relationship with Grant suggests that even the most private hearts can find public love. The upcoming roles and teaching opportunity indicate an artist still exploring, still questioning, still willing to take risks. What emerges from these intersecting narratives is a portrait of someone navigating the space between who the world thinks he is and who he actually might be. The stoic warrior, the humble icon, the generous stranger. These aren't false images, but they're incomplete. Behind them exists a person dealing with pain, age, love, creativity, and the simple human challenge of moving through the world with intention. Hollywood doesn't know what to do with complexity anymore. It prefers its heroes uncomplicated, its narratives clean, its stars willing to perform consistent versions of themselves. Reeves has never fit that mold. He's too quiet for spectacle, too genuine for manufactured drama, too interested in the work itself to feed the machinery of fame with the content it demands. As the year ends and a new one approaches, Reeves continues forward, slightly slower, more careful with that knee, more protected in public spaces, more open in private ones, teaching when he rarely taught before, letting go of symbolic objects while acquiring new ones for others, building a life with someone while maintaining the boundaries that make that life sustainable. The weight he carries now isn't just physical, it's the accumulated pressure of decades in public view, the grief of past losses, the responsibility of mentorship, the complications of love, and the simple biological reality that time passes for everyone, even legends, even the quiet ones who make it look easy. What happens next remains uncertain, but one truth has emerged from 2025 with absolute clarity. Keanu Reeves, at 61, is still becoming, still evolving, still willing to surprise us, not through spectacle, but through the harder work of staying genuine in a world that rewards performance above all else. The whispers will continue, the speculation will persist, the cameras will keep trying to catch unguarded moments, but underneath all of it exists someone choosing carefully, deliberately, thoughtfully, how to move through the final chapters of a career and life that have already defied every expectation. Hollywood doesn't know what to do with that, but maybe it never did. Maybe the point was never for the industry to understand Keanu Reeves. Maybe the point was for him to understand himself. And if that understanding requires stepping back from action roles, stepping forward into teaching, stepping sideways into unexpected comedies, and stepping deeper into private love made occasionally public, then so be it. The quiet storm continues. Not louder, not more visible, just heavier, and somehow, against all odds, still moving forward.